The Outlanders Journey. Tier 1, Level 2. Chapter 7. Arc. You lunge after Errol as she rushes into the fray, calling her name. Your cloak snags onto something, and you look down to find Morn pulling you down. Half of her face is burned off, and one of her eyes has come out of its socket. She screams and pleads in Orcish. Flames are still burning the tips of her clothes. There's a massive blackened crater in the center of the cave, just behind her. Scorched bodies lay scattered across the floor. What was once cheering has now turned to wailing. The minority of survivors are dragging themselves into the river. You fall to your knees and desperately pat away the fire on Morn's back. It's okay, it's okay. You put your arms around her. You cup her face in your hands as gently as you can. It's hot and sticky to the touch. Please, Saranre, please heal her. You can't recall the official incantation. All you can do is beg. A soft flame flickers out of her eye socket, and she weeps blood into your hands. The skin begins to regrow, though not completely. There's an initial confusion on her face before she shakes her head with indignation. No! She points behind her at a badly charred corpse. My son! Arrows careen through the air, a few of them pelting the shield on your back. Okay, I'll get him, Morn, you say. But we need to get you into the river. You point at the stream. No, please! She pulls his head into her arms, and you see it's no longer attached to his shoulders. Rushing up to you is the orc who charged at Brother Taida. His name immediately comes to you. Ikoth. The skin on his jaw and cheeks has been burnt off, forming into a mangled mass dangling from his chin. You've never seen exposed teeth like this before. Despite it all, he seems strangely lucid and capable. You shout to him, "Please, help me get her in the river." He stops. It takes him a moment to pinpoint the source of your voice. He stares at you, studying, and then he kneels down. He drapes Morn's arm over his shoulder, but she protests and attempts to wiggle free. He squeezes his arms around her waist. Almost carelessly, he drags her over to the river, and she pounds her fists against his chest, screaming in Orcish. You stare out of the cave. You need to get to Errol. You glance down at Morn's son, this unrecognizable heap of ash and mutilated flesh. There's nothing left to save. Saranre, you whisper. You, a supposed healer, a bringer of life, but only in name. Errol's still out there. You need to find her. Brother Taida lies dead just outside. Hey, are you listening? Hey! You hear the snapping of fingers. You twist around to find Baron tugging on his sister's arm, marching towards you with a crazed look. I need you to get my sister to the river. His face is surprisingly free of wounds, though his clothes are burned and stained with blood. Bella is protesting and clutching his sleeves, shaking her head. No! You promised! You promised! I can help! He drags and pulls and finally shoves her into your arms. Please watch over her. What about you? You say. Bella wriggles against you, but you pull her close to your chest. I need to find Bach. He ran out there. No, Laurel, please don't go. Laurel, please. Errol is also out there, you say. I need to find her too. Then I'll find both of them, says Baron. He leans down and caresses his sister's face, kissing her gingerly on the forehead. He whispers in her ear, and you catch him say, I love you. Then he covers her eyes. Don't let her see, he says to you. Out of your periphery, you notice Ikoth jogging back to you. You wrap your arms around Bella's forehead, blocking her vision. Still, she grabs onto her brother desperately. I can't swim! Laurel, I can't swim! He pries her fingers loose and takes a step back. Ark will keep you two afloat, all right? He can fly. He glances out of the cave, then back to you. I'll find Errol. You keep her safe. Ikoth puts his hands on your shoulders, and he grabs onto Bella as well. He's sturdy and muscular, and for a second, you feel your body ease up in his grip. Still, she screams as Bayron tears out of her embrace. She thrashes and bites at Ikoth's hand, but he's too strong. You hear her attempt to cast a spell under her breath, and you realize the purpose of covering her eyes is to prevent the spell from working. Bayron is smarter than you, braver than you. You're pulled to the edge, and you look down at the steep drop down. Immediately your stomach turns. The height, the inevitable fall, that sense in your gut of plummeting down. You're weak, you're worthless. Errol might be dead already, and all you did was run, and you're not even good at that. Ikoth gives you no word, and before you can react, you're shoved forcefully down, with Bella still screaming in your arms. You lurch, and you instinctively open your wings. A sharp pain courses through your body. Your shoulders freeze up, and you almost let go of her. "Please," you say to your wings, "let me fly, let me fly." Bella screams into your ears. You're both spinning. Your wings are flapping fruitlessly. All you can do is fall. You need to at least land in the water safely. You tighten your arms around her shoulders. You twist your body around so that your back impacts the water first. You squeeze your eyes shut as the misty waters spray onto your wings. You take a deep breath. You slam into the water. You're first hit with the cold. Icy needles shoot through your entire body, through your wings and down your legs. You cry out in pain, releasing all the air you were holding. You begin to tumble rapidly along the currents. Bella's body feels like a rag doll, her arms helplessly flailing in the waters. Your eyes still shut, you make out what looks to be the bright outline of the sun. It's warm. You bask for a moment in the glow. Then wisps of rising flames begin to dance around the edges, and stepping out is the vague silhouette of Saranre. Fiery wings spring out of her back, enveloping you. The next thing you know, you're rising up to the surface. Your head breaks out of the water, and you gasp for air. You lift Bella up to the surface as well. She grabs onto tufts of feathers around your neck, coughing up water. You breathe jagged, uneven breaths. Your strength is leaving you already, but you desperately kick your legs to keep the both of you afloat. I'm sorry, you say, combing through her hair. You're out of the cave now, but the river's too low to see what's happening on land. You can hear battle cries, military commands, the clashing of swords, the final helpless screams of bodies before they die. She whimpers. She's shaking uncontrollably. Don't cry, Bella. You're okay, you're okay. Gently, still cradling her head, you lift her away from you so you can look into her eyes. You blink. Instead of Bella, you find a little elf girl in your arms. A beanie you've never seen before slips off her head. Bella? You say. She gazes in confusion at you. She reaches up and touches her head. Then her eyes go wide. Who are you? You say. Please don't let go, she says. The voice is still Bella's. I can't swim. Why? Are you? I'm Bella. Please, I am Bella. I really am. Please. But you're an elf. I'm not like those elves. I'm really not. I promise. Tears are welling up in her eyes. Blood is trickling down from her neck and getting lapped up by the waves. Up ahead, you see a few other survivors getting swept down by the currents. Several of them are crying. Someone is calling out to the others. Then, someone points up in the air and screams. Before you can respond, a bright flash bursts just above your heads. A brief calm washes over you. The warmth, reminiscent of Saranre just moments earlier. But then the heat grows and grows. Your vision turns red. Hot winds roil all around you, and you realize it's another explosion, like the one in the cave. This time, you're in the center. Get down! You grab Bella's head and dive back below the surface. You hear the detonation. It roars in your ears. The ground shakes all around you, and then an overwhelming heat, even hotter than the one in the cave, instantly sears the tips of your unsubmerged wings. Bella kicks against you, gargling out water. Air bubbles are collecting all around you. The temperature of the once cold water rises rapidly. Everything is starting to boil. You kick and claw against the currents, but there's no escape. It's unbearable. Your muscles clench as the air seems to disintegrate from your lungs. You scream and swallow the scalding water. It burns as it rushes down your throat. Bella's body goes limp. So this is what real fire feels like. This is what it really means to be cooked alive. The currents begin to hasten again, and you're pulled away to cooler waters. You flap your wings and pull yourself up to the top again. It hurts to breathe. Pooling around you are layers of feathers that have sloughed off your body. The surface of the water is still bubbling over. You look down at Bella, who's gone still and silent. Her eyes are closed, her mouth gaping open. Blood is leaking out of her ears and lips and neck. Steam is rising from her skin. "Bella?" you say. Only now do you register how tiny and thin she is. She's a child. She's just a child. "Stay with me, Bella. Don't die on me. Stay with me. I promise I won't tell anyone. I won't tell. Just don't die." You touch the wound on her throat. "Saranre, lend me your healing, please." You left Errol to die. You stole Saranre's blessing from her, and you ran away. A flame flickers around Bella's neck, as it did with Morn, but then the fire fades and goes out in the water. "Bella?" You press your ear to her chest. "Bella?" Brother Tie-Dye is dead. You're supposed to heal everyone, and you can't even save one. You prop Bella up, and she flops over your shoulder, her arms dangling flimsily. You lean her steadily against you, and you whack the heel of your hand against her back. Long seconds go by. You hit her again and again. Finally, she flinches, and she instantly coughs up water, and you hear it splash into the river. She wails, grabbing onto your cloak. Caught onto a boulder by the shore, you spot the hat that slipped off Bella's head. Some sort of magical item to maintain her disguise. You wade over and reach out, hooking it to your talon. "It's okay. It's okay. Shh. You're safe." You wipe away her tears, and you wring the hat as dry as you can. You pull it back over her head, tucking her ears in. "I won't say anything. Your secret is safe with me." You touch your forehead to hers, staring into her eyes. Her sobbing quiets, though she's still gasping for air. You pull the cloak off and drape it over her shoulders. The grasses surrounding the river have ignited in flames. Dead fish have bubbled to the top. In the distance, more corpses are getting swept away, floating face down in the water. "Don't look," you say, tucking your cloak over Bella's head. You paddle up to one of the bodies, recognizing Morn. The rest of her hair has burned off her body. Her clothes are in tatters, and she's practically naked. The pieces that have remained have melted into her skin. You gently flip her over. Her face is virtually unrecognizable now. You pull Bella close to your chest. You touch Morn's face, and you whisper your incantation once more. "I need all the miracles you can give me," you say. The spell goes off as you expect, but her wounds don't ignite in healing flames. You realize she's already dead. Your hands are cold. They're out of magic already. 3 measly spells, and that's it. If Errol's hurt, you won't have the magic to save her. She may already be dead. You never had the ability to save Brother Tie-Dye in the first place. You can't do anything right. The river curves, and you notice something is snagged onto Morn's arm. As you're taken away by the currents, you whisper a pitiful little apology, letting go of her hand. Someone lets out a battle cry. It must be Ernog. You don't know if it's because of the ringing in your ears, but it sounds like they're far away now. If Errol is dead, how will you ever live with yourself again? Saranre, please, you pray. Watch over her. Let her live this. She needs to live. All of a sudden, bursting from the grasses, Mok, his direwolf, and Dura splash into the water. You hug Bella close. Why isn't Errol with them? Airy, you shout. Where's Airy? Mok is crying into Dura's arms. They don't seem to notice you. Their clothes are drenched in blood, leaking into the water. Airy! You open your wings, flapping as hard as you can. You rise a few inches over the water before the pain jolts through your body, and you fall back in. The grasses rustle again. You hear sprinting. Before you can say anything, Errol finally barrels through the foliage as well. She crashes into the water. You swim to her as she comes up to the surface, and you see a large gash just above her eye. Her body is full of cuts and scratches, but she's alive. Airy! Tears are welling up. Airy! She's also crying. She immediately pulls you in, caressing your face. I couldn't, she says. There were so many. I thought I could at least hold off Brother Taida's body. I was so scared, Airy. I thought you were gonna die. I'm so sorry. I ran away like a coward. You're bleeding too, you realize. The blood on your face mixes with hers. Airy, I have no more spells. I can't heal you. It's okay, she says. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't either, she says. Ernog, Brother Taida's body. Sister Ethel's gonna... She trails off, sobbing in her own hands. Airy, what are we even doing here? I don't know. What do we do? Behind her, you hear Mok still weeping profusely. His direwolf is whimpering. Bella has gone quiet in your arms. You glance down, peeking through your cloak. She's unconscious, her breathing now steady. Here, says Errol. She puts her hands on Bella and lifts her off your shoulders. Wait, you say. She pulls at the cloak, just enough to catch sight of Bella's face. You tighten your arms around Bella, shaking your head, but Errol's already seen it. She blinks, eyes widening. Then she stares at you. Don't, you say, still shaking your head. She's searching your eyes for answers, a horrified look on her face. Why is she... Airy? She puts her hand over her forehead. I thought I saw something earlier. Her breathing quickens. I suspected it, but I didn't do anything about it. What do you mean? You say. Bach and Bayron must be elves in disguise too, she says. Bayron was trying to get me to take them, and only them, into the forest. I should have... Why didn't I piece it together sooner? What do you mean, Airy? You suddenly recall Bella calling her brother Laurel. Is that his real name? Is Errol onto something? They're spies, Ark. I thought I saw through Bella's disguise, but I was second-guessing myself. I bet New Everlon sent them to infiltrate the orcs. They probably would have asked Brother Taida, but he stopped cooperating with them. So now they get these other elves to go in disguises. Bella stirs, and you cradle her head. She's so delicate. It's like you can break her if you aren't careful. But why would they send a child in? And why would the soldiers also attack them? They killed Brother Taida without a second thought. Floating towards you is a familiar backpack, the one that belonged to Brother Taida. You're not sure how it ended up here. It's waterlogged, but it's somehow not burned. You point to it, and Errol immediately grabs it before it's carried away. Dura, seeing this, begins swimming up to you. Airy, you say, let's not say anything yet. Let's think this through first. We don't want to jump to conclusions so fast. Errol furrows her brow at you. They deserve to know. Not now. Not yet. We need to make it out first. She hesitates, but she nods. Fine. She opens the flap of the backpack, peering inside. She pulls out a wooden coffer and releases the latch with her teeth. Inside are the bright red liquid bottles of healing potions. There are 8 in total. Dura wades up to Errol. Thank you. You save us. She bows her head to Errol. Mock begins paddling up with his direwolf. Errol nods. There's been a lot of casualties, you say. They cast another explosion spell in the river. Dura nods somberly. May we use these healing potions on the wounded? Asks Errol. She shows Dura the coffer. Dura's eyes are full of apprehension. She stares at the blood-red hue of the bottles. They are safe? She asks. Errol nods, a hand to her chest. I swear. How we use? We pour it either into their mouths or directly over the wound, says Errol, gesturing with her hands. Dura nods. She opens her palms, and Errol gives her 4 bottles. Dura gazes down at Mock, and she leans in, whispering into his ear. He rubs his eyes and wipes his nose, and he shakes his head vigorously. Dura, voice shaky, responds in a pleading tone. She points at you. Mock lifts his eyes to meet yours. There's indignation and defeat in his expression, but he lets go of his direwolf and swims towards you. I'll help heal, he says. You nod. You're very brave. Up ahead, you see Elder Lasha's body washed ashore against the riverbank, her head resting in the grasses as the water laps across her body. She's bleeding profusely out of her stomach area. You swim towards her, touching her wrist and checking for a pulse. Please, you beg. All you've been doing is begging. Please don't go. Nothing. You barely know her, but you feel a deep sense of loss. Her old wisdom, the many lives she must have touched. You place your hands over her eyes, ready to close them. Saranre, you say. What good am I if my powers are still this weak? What use is your blessing if this is all I am capable of? As you say this, you feel your words, unlike before, channeling through a newly opened connection. Something private, meant only for you and Saranre. Elder Lasha's body begins to glow again. From her abdomen, the light emanates upwards and outwards. She opens her eyes, gasping for air. Her hands reach up to the clear skies. Yaha, she murmurs. I am with you, you hear in your mind. Lasha's gaze focuses on you with a forlorn, almost longing expression. Why did you save me? She asks. I'm sorry, you say. We need you. She shakes her head. What more can I do if Grumpsh has abandoned all of us? If you're alive, maybe he hasn't. Around you, a few more survivors have miraculously awoken, thanks to Errol, Dura, and Mock's healing. All of them immediately cough up water and then wail in anguish. In total, about 15 have survived. Just 15 out of the 89 that you first traveled with. The sounds of battling have faded. You hear the frantic splashing of water. Swimming up from far in the back are Bach and Bayron. Despite who they might be, you feel relieved to see them. That assurance that there are 2 more survivors. Surely, they aren't the cause of this atrocity. Right? Bella! Bayron shouts, panic in his voice. Where's Bella? His gaze locks onto you, and his eyes shift down to Bella, swaddled into a bundle, clinging onto you. There was desperation in his eyes when he entrusted his sister to you. You see it here, too. He loves his sister. Errol perks her head up and narrows her eyes at him. She peers at you, shaking her head. Bella begins stirring again in your arms. She pokes her head out, and in a quick flash, the disguise reforms around her. You can see the true elven form flickering in and out. You wonder how you managed to miss it up until this point. "Please believe me," she whispers again. "I promise I'm good." Then, in a cloud of fog, she vanishes and reappears next to Bach and Bayron, who immediately scoop her up in their arms, kissing her on the forehead, rocking her back and forth as they weep. They can't be the reason for this. If they are, you would lose your faith in the innate goodness of people. But what happened today was completely devoid of goodness. They sent their entire army to eradicate you. The very army your temple has housed and fed for free. You lift your head up to the skies, the bright sun in your eyes. You, a supposed judge of who is good and who is bad. Who are these gods, and what is there to believe in anymore? If they are powerful enough to save everyone, then why have they allowed so many to perish, allowed such evil to prevail? Saranre, what do you want from me?